Okay, so talking a little bit about day of timelines. A lot of couples, again, are a little bit clueless about when they should start things, or we have some couples who say, we want to get married at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And, you know, as wonderful as that sounds, then what are your guests doing until 5? If you've got 2 different venues for that, not a problem. If you're all doing everything all in one venue, you've got a lot of dead space there where that might not work out as well, okay? So I like to work backwards. So this is just a quick example. So look at what time your bar closes. If it closes at 1, if it closes at midnight, if it closes at 11, that will really help you decipher kind of when other things are gonna happen, okay? You wanna do your late night food station, if you are doing one, about 2 hours before your bar closes. When we're doing late night food, we leave it open for an hour. So if your bar closes at 1, then your late night food should go out at 11. You'll have food from 11 till 12, and then the staff have another hour to tidy that up. Guests have an hour to get out. They have more than an hour, but you know what I mean? Like once there's no food, they're most likely gonna leave. You also wanna have about 2 hours between the end of your dinner and your late night, because you don't want to finish dinner and then 45 minutes have more food out. Most people aren't going to eat it and it's going to go to waste. So some of our couples actually who are doing later in the evening weddings, they forego a late night food station. People who are getting married at the museum, you can't even get into the museum until 6 p.m. at night. So a lot of them don't bother with a late night food because they're not even done eating until 10:30 or 11. So you can take that into consideration as well. So so if your late night's gonna go out around 11, you wanna finish dinner by about 9, dinner and dessert, okay? Then you have to look at what type of dinner service you're doing. Things like a plated meal or food stations are probably gonna take longer than a standard buffet or actually family style takes quite a bit of time as well. So depending on how many courses you're having, the style of dining, when you're doing your speeches, if you're gonna save them all until after dinner, if you're gonna spread them out, all of that kind of stuff will help you decipher kind of how long your dinner is gonna take. Usually if it is family style plated or stations for more than 100 people, I'd say give yourself for sure an hour and a half, possibly 2 hours. Okay. If you're less than 100 people, it's obviously going to take a little less time. And something like a buffet, if we're doing a single buffet for over 100 people, give it half an hour. If we have enough space within your venue to do 2 identical buffets, which is it's highly recommended for over 100 guests, we can get everybody through in like 15 minutes. So I mean, that's ideal if you have the space to do it. Talked a little bit about options for speeches. So doing one before dinner is kind of nice, actually, if you want to break them up. And then, but they can all be left till after dinner if you'd like. Definitely tell people who are doing the speeches for your wedding that they have a timeline and make it short, because they will go over it no matter what. So if you're like, yeah, we want you to do a speech in like 10, 15 minutes, they will talk for half an hour. So give them like 3 to 5. Or if you really don't want a whole lot of speeches, tell them that they are welcome to do a toast. Short. So yeah, all of your speeches, especially if you're doing them all at the end, should really not go over a half an hour. Because people get very bored and fidgety and the guests get really annoying, actually. So options for your first dance as well. This is something that can be done before you sit down for dinner. We've had a lot of very anxious brides especially, but a lot of couples who don't want the attention, don't want the limelight on them, and they just feel like, oh my gosh, if I have to get up and dance in front of everybody, I'm not even gonna be able to eat. Like they're just literally sick to their stomach. So they do their grand entrance, they walk in, they do their dance in front of the head table, They sit down and they can enjoy themselves for the rest of the night. So that is an option for you. More commonly though, couples will wait until after dinner and speeches and everything, and then they kind of open up the dance floor with their first dance. And they have everybody kind of like come on the dance floor and surround them and watch them do their first dance. And first dances can just be the couple, and then they can go right into all the dancing. Sometimes they do like a father-daughter dance, mother-son dance. Sometimes you guys do dances with your kids, like whatever. You can do whatever you want with your first dances, whatever is special and important to you and that you want to incorporate. So if you are doing your first dance to open the dance floor, then you're going to do that at the end of your dinner. And then you'd want your dinner served by about 6:30 with your speeches happening like during dinner or in between courses. About a half an hour before you actually want to eat is when you want to do something called a call to dinner. So that's when your DJ or your MC gets on the mic and asks everybody to find their seat, grab a drink from the bar before it closes, whatever. Because to corral 100 or 150 people to actually go and sit down, it will take a little bit of time. And then there's other stuff that happens between sitting down and actually starting to eat. So things like your grand entrance, whether it's your whole bridal party or just the two of you, there should be some housekeeping announcements. So your MC should be saying like where to smoke, where you can and cannot drink, if the bar is going to be open or closed at dinner, where the washrooms are, just kind of giving a basic itinerary of the night too, so that people aren't super clueless. So yeah, give yourself about a half an hour between your call to dinner and when you actually want to eat, which would then pull your cocktail hour to about 4:30 or 5. So cocktail hour, it's not a necessity, you don't have to have it, but it is very popular because a lot of times that's when you're doing photos, whether it's you're doing your family photos, if you did a first look before the ceremony, or if you're not doing a first look, then you may be off just the two of you doing pictures with your photographer. Many photographers will ask you for 2 hours. Try to talk them down a little bit if you can, just because again, your guests will get very bored and irritated and very drunk. If you are doing a 2-hour cocktail hour, which is not unheard of, we just highly suggest to get more food, because people will, 3 hors d'oeuvres, but 5 drinks, not really equivalent. So 1 hour to 1.5 hours is perfect. It's a good time for guests to mingle, enjoy snacks and drinks before dinner, and then just get more food if it's going to be a longer cocktail hour. But then that would bring your cocktail hour to, like I said, 4:30 or 5, which would then bring your ceremony to 3:30 or 4. So check with your officiant about that. Many of our venues do have your ceremony and reception happening in the same place, which is great, but that's why you want to have kind of that continual flow for your timeline. If you are, like I said at the beginning, getting married in a different location from your reception, then you have a lot more freedom with your ceremony time, because you can just tell your guests to show up to the reception venue whatever time you want. Just so you know, they'll show up an hour early anyway. And same with your ceremony. They're always so early, so eager to see you get married. So just be prepared for that.